What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Arizona Cardinals Offseason review episode. In today's episode, we'll be going over the 6 draft picks made by Steve Keim and the Arizona Cardinals in the 2020 NFL Draft. Now, I'll be going over the strengths, weaknesses, my opinion, my grade on the picks, along with a bit more information about what I think went into the pick, why the pick was made, and why the pick was a good, bad, or even great pick. So without further ado, let's get right into it. The first pick 8, Isaiah Simmons, linebacker from Clemson. You know, the do-it-all linebacker. Number 4 on the consensus board, Butkus Award winner, All-American. You know, what can I say? He lined up all over the field. Just incredible talent, incredible athlete. You know, his ability to cover tight ends, spy the quarterback. That's what's extremely intriguing about Isaiah Simmons coming to the NFC West and to the Arizona Cardinals. We had a huge issue in coverage last year where going into the offseason, one of the biggest needs was coverage, solving that coverage issue. And Isaiah Simmons will come in, day one impact, day one starter, and help. Even if he can be average, that is a huge boost. If he can be average in coverage, that is a huge boost to his defense, especially compared to last year's starting linebackers who were complete liabilities in coverage. And compared to the amount of yards, we let over 1,000 yards to tight ends last year. Isaiah Simmons can come in and shut down the opposing team's number 1 tight end. His combine is just an absolute freak. I texted a friend of mine when he had ran the 40, and I said, "This guy is a freak. He's built in a lab to play the future position of the modern day NFL linebacker." Now, he drew comparisons to Cam Chancellor, but a bigger version of Cam Chancellor. You know, that's really scary to hear, considering Cam Chancellor completely changed that whole defense and how the Seattle defense was able to play, adding in an extra corner and Cam's linebacker strong safety role. An awesome pick. This was my favorite pick of the whole draft, just because we needed coverage on that defense. We needed an impact player. There was a lot of mock drafts having us go Derek Brown. I really did not want that to happen, just because he didn't offer that much as a pass rusher. He was more of a run-stuffing defensive lineman. Isaiah Simmons was definitely the pick I wanted. I was hoping he fell down to 8, which he did. No trade back, because when you're picking that high in the draft, you've got to make the most of that, and you've got to pick elite players, elite prospects, and that's what Isaiah Simmons is, and that's what he'll be bringing to this team. So an A+ from me, an absolute awesome pick. Steve Keim hit the ball out of the park with that pick. And yeah, nothing more to say, just an A+ pick. He fills so many needs on this defense, especially in a division with Russell Wilson and George Kittle. An awesome pick, A+. And with the second pick in the 3rd round, pick 72, offensive tackle Josh Jones out of Houston. I mean, this was an absolute steal. I could not believe Josh Jones lasted this long and was still available in round 3. Offensive tackle was very much a need, especially on the right side, which were being mocked a lot during the pre-draft process. Josh Jones, I expected to go around round 1. I think a lot of people actually expected him to go much earlier than round 3. In trade back scenarios using mock draft simulators, if Josh Jones was available, if I moved back into the 20s, I think Josh Jones was being picked there for the Arizona Cardinals. This was a steal. I could not believe my eyes when I saw Josh Jones was still available. A few picks before us, Seattle was picking, and I thought, okay, maybe they could take a right tackle. No, they took a guard, Damian Lewis. Miami's on the clock. They could take a tackle. They much need improvement on their offensive line. No, they took a safety out of Texas, Brandon Jones. And with Baltimore moving ahead of us, you know, they're pretty good in both their left and right tackle, with the kid out of Notre Dame, Ronnie Stanley, and the right tackle, Orlando Brown, out of Oklahoma. So I wasn't too worried that Baltimore was going to take a tackle. So Josh Jones being there, Baltimore picking before us, you know, I thought, here we go, we're going to get Josh Jones. An awesome pick. You know, he comes from that Houston sort of air raid sort of offense, which Cliff had connections with the offensive line coach there in Houston. He worked for him back at Texas Tech. So there was connections there with Cliff, knowing the coaching staff, knowing the player a bit. He tried to recruit Josh, actually, to Texas Tech back in the day. So Cliff obviously having knowledge of these players, much similar to how Pete Carroll had knowledge when he was recruiting and drafting for Seattle, when he had become the coach there from the college system, knew these players that people were giving F grades for, and then they turn into all pro players. So this was an awesome pick. Josh Jones, he's probably not going to switch his sort of way, which is sort of the philosophy Cliff has brought in, as you could see with Mason Cole, as you can see with Andy Isabella. Demir Bird and AQ Shipley were the starters this previous season, and now those two are stepping up and taking a much bigger role, which is similar to what's going to happen with Josh Jones. Marcus Gilbert, who was brought back on a one-year deal, he will be the starting right tackle going into the season, barring injury, of course. And Josh Jones will learn for a year, learn how to become a pro, how to become a better player, rework his footwork, and then he will be our future starting right tackle. So I have to give this an A+. This was an awesome pick. Picks rounds 1 to 3 are the picks that will be starting for your team, and we got Isaiah Simmons and Josh Jones, who were both in the top 32 of the consensus board. Absolutely incredible. I could not believe it. I could not mock draft a scenario where with our 2 picks in rounds 1 and round 3 we were going to get Isaiah Simmons and Josh Jones. There was no way. I think I saw a stat with it. It was a 1%, less than a 1% chance for the Arizona Cardinals to land Josh Jones in that position, and we landed him. A+ pick, awesome pick. Our future right tackle need solved. Moving into the 4th round, we had 2 picks in the 4th round. The first at 114 was defensive tackle out of Utah, Leki Fotu. Now, this was definitely a need where, like I said earlier in the video, we were being mocked Derek Brown in the 1st round. We had a lot of players come in off the street, basically after cuts, to start on the interior of the defensive line last season. We had players move on this year, like Zach Kerr and Rodney Gunter. So we definitely needed to fill the interior of the defensive line. Leki Fotu will come in as a day one, probably first and second down player, where he will be a good solid run stuffer, can play nose tackle, can be the future there at nose tackle to replace Corey Peters, who's on the last year of his deal. Just a solid all-round pick, there were a few plays that maybe I would have liked the Cardinals to go for, particularly options at guard. I think if we had brought in a guard to compete with J.R. Sweezy for that starting right guard spot, that would have been really good, because after this year we don't really have an answer for that right guard position, as J.R. Sweezy's on the last year of his deal. But overall, a good move by Steve Keim, a good draft for a good run stuffing defensive tackle. He can defend multiple gaps, decent mobility for his size, but like I said, not a great pass rusher, lacks a bit of juice there. But in the 4th round, this is where you draft these types of players, the interior defensive linemen who are going to come in and stuff the run. You don't draft these types of players in the 1st or 2nd round. You draft them in the later rounds, like Steve Keim has done with both Leki Fotu and the next pick I'll be going into, Rashard Lawrence. But for the Leki Fotu pick, it's a C+, a good pick, a solid pick. He'll come in day one, stop the run, and that's what we needed help with, and that's a solid pick. The 2nd pick made in the 4th round was again in the defensive interior. This time it was Rashard Lawrence out of LSU with pick 131. If you watch the 3rd episode of the Flight Plan series, the draft special, Steve Keim had said after the Leki Fotu pick, he was hoping that the Rashard Lawrence kid quote would be there as well. And he was obviously picked. Now, he brings a championship mentality from a big school such as LSU, which Steve Keim is sort of shifting his drafts towards the bigger schools, as we can see from the last 2 drafts. He brings character and leadership to the locker room, which is going to be good, because Corey Peters is probably the only voice on that defensive interior at the moment, and he's on the last year of his deal. Jordan Phillips was brought in as well, but you can see from his interviews he's a bit more of a quiet personality, whereas Rashard Lawrence, he's got that effort, he's got that toughness. The LSU coaching staff raved about this guy's character and leadership, which is something which, intangibles, that's what you need in locker rooms to win championships. It's the ultimate team game, and mentalities like Rashard Lawrence's are the ones you need in the locker room. Now, he is known to do these quote-unquote dirty work. He opened up lanes for Clavon Chason there at LSU, but, there are some negatives to his game. He needs to develop more pass rushing moves, needs to improve his hand usage and technique, and that's something that hopefully can be coached up. So maybe we haven't seen the best of Rashard Lawrence as of yet. His body type, he doesn't look like he has the best body type, but like I said, he's got that effort, that toughness, that character and the leadership, which are all good intangibles. Hopefully he can come in and be a day one impact starter in terms of the rush department to stop the run, but in terms of his pass rushing, he's probably going to have to develop some moves, and maybe in his second or third year he can be that interior pass rushing threat that we need. But as for right now, he's more of a developmental player, so I give the grade a C plus, a good solid pick, a need ticked off while grabbing a good average player in that position. So a C plus from me. And yeah, just between the two defensive interior picks, there were needs filled with decent players who bring good character and good effort to the Cardinals defensive locker room. 6th round pick out of California, inside linebacker Evan Weaver. Evan Weaver, that old school type thumper role of a linebacker. He's an amazing tackler, had absurd tackling statistics this last season. Some positives about Evan Weaver is that his motor is always running, and he's going to be a great special teams player, probably be one of our best special teams players, a special teams ace this season. However, I don't see him getting on the field as much just because we drafted Isaiah Simmons 8th overall. We signed the linebacker Devondre Campbell out of Atlanta, and we've got Jordan Hicks there. So barring injury, I don't see Evan Weaver coming onto the field. Some negatives about Evan Weaver, I guess he lacks coverage skills and lacks recovery athleticism, which means he's probably only going to be a 2-down linebacker in the NFL. That's if he even gets onto the field. But I do definitely think he's going to be a great special teams player, which is why I give the grade a B-, because looking at the players left, I didn't really have anyone that I would have picked over Weaver personally. There wasn't that many players that we needed to target or any positions at this point in the draft where we could have ticked off. So a good pick. I don't think he'll be getting on the field, like I said, but he'll definitely be a contributor on the special team side of things from day one. And hopefully we can see a Pro Bowl season from Evan Weaver as a special teams player. But yeah, like I said, a B- for me, a good pick, and a special teams contributor from day one. With our last pick in the 7th round, Arizona running back Eno Benjamin was selected. Now, this was a great pick, bringing the local player back to Arizona. Some positives in Benjamin's game is that he has good vision and he's very durable. He's also very good in the screen game, which Cliff likes to run a lot of screens. I think we were one of the, if not the most utilized screen game in the league last year. So that's good to see that he's going to be a great scheme fit in the 7th round and probably our 3rd string running back. Now, he's also hard to tackle as well, which is really good for his size and elusivity. But there are definitely negatives in his game as well, where he does need to improve in pass protection. He's not a home run hitter, and he does rely a bit too much on his jump cut rather than just trusting the hole that's given to him and punching through that hole. He'll rely on his jump cut and then he'll run into traffic or a negative gain. But in the 7th round, you can't really complain with this pick. A lot of people label this as one of the sleeper picks in the draft. A running back in the 7th round who can come in and contribute from day one. A scheme fit as well. It's an awesome pick. I grade the pick an A. I think Eno Benjamin's going to come in and win that 3rd, maybe even the 2nd string role over Chase Edmonds, considering Kenyon Drake and both Chase Edmonds are not those big, heavy carry guys. So he'll definitely get spelled in there. And so, yeah, A grade overall for me. Scheme fit. He's going to be good in Cliff's offense, and he, I believe, will be the 3rd string running back, which can come in, and spell some reps with Chase Edmonds. So overall, I would give the total grade an A. I believe we selected contributors with all 6 picks, especially with the first 2 picks. They were 2 A+ grades that'll be contributors going forward into the future. Some good run stuffing defensive interior players in the 4th round, a special teams ace in Evan Weaver, and then Eno Benjamin to come in as that 3rd string running back behind Chase Edmonds and Kenyon Drake in the 7th round. Now, please do leave a comment with your favorite draft pick and also what you would give the grade of the Arizona Cardinals draft class. I'd love to hear it. If you stuck around for this long, thank you so much for watching the video. Please leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you want to stay tuned for more Arizona Cardinal news. I've got a lot of great ideas coming in the future with the Cardinal videos to keep you updated all the way through until the season starts. So do please hit that subscribe button. Next week, we've got the final episode of the off-season review where we'll be going over the schedule. So please stay tuned for next week's video. I hope you've enjoyed, and until next time, please do take care.